is a special episode of not only Gaming is in Session, but also Play PSVR2, the podcast. Because this is a game, Behemoth, it's a VR game. We're going to do both. But Alex, we're going to play by the rules of Gaming is in Session. Before we hop into that, though, Alex, just want you to know. Now, by the time people hear this, they should probably have seen our celebration episode. I have thoroughly enjoyed Moemon. Momon? How do you
Moemon, yeah. Moemon.
Momon? Fantastic. Great game. We'll get into it another time. We should do an episode on that. But thank you for the gift, Alex. Why did the chicken cross the road?
To play more Moemon.
You
To catch
went
more waifus.
to see an idiot.
To see an idiot?
Yeah, to visit the idiot.
I don't get it. What am I missing?
Gaming is in session. Know what that means? For those who maybe listen to play PSVR2 and not gaming is in session, we play 20% of a game and then we decide, do we want to continue to play it? And Skydance's Behemoth they're on I'm blanking on the word, Alex. The defendant's seat. What do you call that? Oh no.
They're on the stand.
They're on the stand. Thank you, Alex.
This thing in front of me?
I stand by you, Alex. Thank you so much. But where do you want to begin here, Alex? Where do we go from here?
Gamer juice, obviously.
Here's what I got here today, baby. I went out and got me a Slurpee. It's been a
Ooh.
while since I've had one of these. Take a guess. If you get this flavor correct, Alex, I'll eat 5 beans right here.
I don't get to see what color it is.
It's brown.
Oh, cola.
Not quite.
Cherry cola.
No. It is Coke Zero mixed with Oreo.
Coke Zero is not a flavor of Flurry. Does it do you taste the Oreo? That feels like one of the things where like you drink it and it would taste like Coke, but like it'll smell like Oreo.
Dude, this is ghastly.
And you gotta drink the whole thing.
Dude, this is horrible. The thing is, like at the 2025, I want to get weird with it. I feel like my life is like pretty stable, but I want to start getting weird. And this was my first step. Let's get weird with the end of 2024 to propel me into the weirdness of 2025. This sounded like they had Mountain Dew Berry Blast. Looked, smelled fantastic, but I was like, this is entertainment.
You gotta get weird with it. Yeah, yeah.
Let's get weird with it. So I got this. I mean, this is horrible. Oh, I think I can taste the Oreo. It's not good.
Are you supposed to like chew? You like drink some and then chew it? Like maybe it's just crushed up Oreos in there.
No, no, no.
So,
It's all liquid. It's all, yeah.
so did you see they have like Coke Zero Oreo flavored? Like just the bottle, like the drink.
Oh, I did not. So they must have just turned that into a slushy.
Yeah, they probably just pour it over some ice or something. I mean,
See,
I
I
had
thought
that
this
and
was unique.
it ruined Coke Zero. Like it is one of those things where like you're not making either one better. You're just ruining both of
It's
them at the
not
same
even
time.
sweet. Dude, it tastes like they ruined it. Yeah, this is horrible.
Yeah.
I
I'm
may have to
sorry,
eat a
Adam.
bean. The thing
Well,
is, a slushy is so much too, right?
yeah,
Like if it
it's
were just in a can and I could chug it and be done, you can't do that with
you have to
these.
work on it because you have to drink it at a rate slower than it melts. Otherwise, you just have like chunky ice, right?
Dude, this is how is it? What did they do to it?
Probably somebody stuck their foot in the mixer. Does it taste like feet?
It tastes muted. Like
Hmm.
I think it's the Coke Zero. Does Coke Zero suck?
No, I like Coke Zero. Adam, let's move on. This is too much discussion of your horrible
Yeah, you're right.
beverage
We have too
choice.
much to cover. Where are you drinking? Where are you
My
drinking?
gamer juice is the Barefoot wine brand. This is their pink rosé. This is the only beverage I have in the house right now. I
At
haven't.
least I got weird with it, and I'm paying the price, but at least I'm not drinking that. You woman! Oh my gosh! Let me guess. It's fabulous, isn't it, Alec?
Yeah, it tastes. I'm not much of a wine guy. It just the thing about wine is the good wine tastes bad because it's all bitter, and then like the cheap wine is really just like that with a bunch of sugar thrown in there. I feel like there's been just a few occasions. I think the church wine is the only wine that I ever drank, and I was like, I want some more. And I think it was just because I was hungry. It tasted like ham and cheese.
Mm.
This wine tastes like ham and cheese sandwiches to me.
It's hard to tell. I despise wine. I have never had one that I like, so they're horrible.
I think
Uh,
you're supposed to stick your nose in it before you.
yeah, swirl it, stick your nose in it.
It
Yeah.
smells the way it tastes, so I don't see why I'm smelling it. Could be.
My family member has a winery, believe it or not.
And you aren't hooking me up.
Sure, his wine sucks, just like all the others does, but it's not his fault. It's just wine is bad.
It's not his
Alex,
fault. Yeah, wine sucks.
let's move to the fan shoutouts. We're doing this one live because I forgot to put them in our. Alex and I share a script most of the time. In the Sea of Stars episode, Shafe Dog, y'all gotta keep playing Sea of Stars. It's pure nostalgia at its heart, and the story beats pick up as you play. It is a perfect warm up for the Lunar Silver Star story remaster that's coming next year. Man up and play some whole arse games. Number one, we will not be doing that. We have already judged it and we have decided not to play it. I actually went back and I looked at the plot and I watched like a 45-minute video about the whole playthrough so I didn't skim through it. It sucked garbage. You're wrong, Shafe. You're wrong.
It's an embarrassing thing that Shafe has decided to pick that. I mean, if he started playing it because we were doing it, then no, it's great. I'm so glad you're playing it, Shafe. If he was just playing it and we happen to be covering it at the same time, Shafe, that's not that good of a game. Although I did like, was it Shafe or Corporate Zombie that shouted out and made fun of you for buying the game when it was free on PlayStation Plus?
Yeah, that was also, but no, it was when it came out. It's not right now.
I mean, I played it for free on Xbox Game Pass. So.
Freaking Al, all you do is one up. You're such a douchebag.
It should be the One Up podcast, but not One Up like video games. One Up
Look,
like
I paid, what? I paid $6 to play 6 hours of a game. That's what I do for you people. That's what I do for this content.
Adam. I have another fan shout out here from our Game Awards. What did the Game Awards get wrong episode?
Yeah.
Corporate Zombie, our buddy, he's got a whole paragraph here. I can't read the whole thing, but I like this point. I think Astrobot winning is the same as Hollywood celebrating the meta of filmmaking. Oscars like to elevate films that celebrate the making of film in a self-gratifying, nostalgic way. Astrobot does that with those little remember berries of all the Astrobots based on characters from their own games. It's more a celebration of those games and the Sony hardware than it is groundbreaking in its own right, in my opinion. Um, I don't disagree. I don't disagree that it's a celebration and that it's not groundbreaking. I will say groundbreaking games are few and far between. I don't even think we get one per year, like a truly groundbreaking game. So I think Astrobot alone, for being an immaculate game that happens to celebrate video games, I think it deserves it on that front. But he does have one last good point. Maybe people will see this and say, "Hey, that game had a VR version," and then realize that they will, play it in VR. And Sony realize they can play it in VR, can't, and then Sony might port Astrobot to their new headset. So, yeah,
This
Adam,
gamer juice is terrible.
yeah,
Oh my.
I'm sorry.
It
Thank
might
you,
be the
Corporate
worst
Zombie,
one
for the
I've
fan
ever.
shout out.
I've drank some pretty rancid crap on this show. That might be the worst. Like it's garbage. Thank you for the fan shout outs. Keep them coming, folks. YouTube, email, contact at playpsvr.com. Let us know. What do you think? Join in. Tell us where we're wrong. Tell us when we're right, which I know that's the majority of the time. It's time to get into it, Alex. Skydance's Behemoth. You wanted to play this game. Why?
Not just me want to play it, everyone wanted to play it. This was the game that people were holding out hopes for. So those that don't know, Skydance made The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, which for all of its warts was one of the first games to really get like melee combat and the physicality of VR right. And so, okay, name a game before that that did whatever. But it had like physics, it had
Farpoint.
inertia. What?
Farpoint.
It didn't get the physics right. It's a shooting game. You couldn't hit somebody with a
Oh,
mallet
the
in
physics
Farpoint.
were fun.
The physics were fun. Anyways, so Skydance knows what they're doing more or less is what I'm saying. So people were excited about this. It looked like a VR Shadow of the Colossus. Um, and people were holding out hope that this was going to be the game of the year. Now, I personally was a bit skeptical because it was PSVR2, PC VR, and Quest. And anytime a game's coming out on all three at the same time, I always feel like you're going to be paying a tax on the fact that it's releasing for the Quest as well. Um, the reviews came out. Some were glowing, some were horrid. And so as much as I had like optimism, it was getting muted a bit. But I thought, hey, there's only one way to find out. Then I got to play the game. I want to see what's going on. I like what Skydance is doing, so that's why I chose it for this, Adam. I wanted to see who's right on that spectrum.
That's why you forced me to buy a $40 game. I think it was $40, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
$40
mm-hmm.
game, 10 hours, and I can't return it because it's not physical. You have to buy it digital. There is a physical version coming in January, but obviously we didn't want to wait that long to play it. It better be worth it. Otherwise, you're not going to live it down. It's going to be another Legendary Tales, just you're bad at picking games. So as we play Behemoth, for those who haven't played or might be interested, you first of all VR. If you're a gaming in a session person, maybe you haven't tried VR, revolutionizes the game. Totally changes the entire. Even if you played the same exact game, like for example Resident Evil 4 flat, you go in VR, completely different experience. Changes radically how the game feels, your perception, the visceral response. Incredible. So in Behemoth, you are a I don't know, some dude, I guess.
Yeah,
And
you're some dude, right? They don't really say too much. It's like
yeah, yeah,
you wake up on a mountain and your hands are black.
you're some dude. You could be white. You don't
No,
have
your
to be
hands are
white.
covered in a black
Oh,
disease.
you okay? Yeah, that's correct. That's
Yeah,
correct.
you,
So
you can change your skin color. Yeah.
yeah, so the behemoth mentioned in the title, of course, these behemoths, there's more than one. They hold this secret to a curse that has plagued your people, ravaged your family, the people of the land. And so you, in some way, and I'm going to put quote unquote, are special. Now we're only 20% of the way through the game, so I can't elaborate, but we're special in some way and have not gotten this curse or this virus, this disease. And so you are taking it upon yourself to go out, hunt the behemoth, fight the marauders, and save your people. So pretty basic plot. However, it moves the game forward, right, Alex? In my mind, this is serviceable, but it's not necessarily groundbreaking. Any feelings on the thought or the thought of the plot?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't feel so sometimes video games have plots that are stupid, right? And I feel stupid for paying attention to it. This doesn't feel like that, but it's also not anything spectacular. And I think my issue is that there's like too much exposition explaining. I feel like Shadow of the Colossus, for example, the plot in that game is very minimal, and you pick up what's going on just by based on what's happening. I feel like if this game dropped you in the game, and then it like your hands are turning black, and it's like you got a disease, you got to kill these behemoths in order to survive the disease. Like that's all the motivation I need. And sure, have some world building elsewhere, but this game does stop a decent amount and be like, "Oh, you have the fire inside you. You are the chosen one. There's the people. Here's what's happening there. Here's what's happening there." And it's like, I don't need all that. And you can tell me
Yeah.
that 100 other ways than just making me stop and pay attention to something when I really just want to be zipping around in VR hitting things with a sword.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's not bad. It's just I think I don't know. It's a hard thing to get apparently because most games don't do it, but it just seems like too much going on. Like we don't need that much plot for this game.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I obviously like plot, but you're right. If you're not going to go all in and have some lore and it actually have depth, then yeah, especially for an action game, I agree with you. I personally would err on the side of, hey, make it minimalist, throw us in, let us have some fun, right? That the plot is not, even when you go in, you know that's not the centerpiece of this game. So don't detract from what is the masterpiece of the game, the combat, with this plot that's just holding you back from what you really want to be participating in. So
I will say I think the voice acting's pretty good. I'll say that. So like when they are talking, it's not like too embarrassing. And
eh,
particularly like the skulls, you grab these skulls around and you crush them and somebody will say something. That's pretty good. And I think that's supposed to be some of their like, pseudo immersive world building. But I swear, I hold the skull, and if you look at it, you can read the text of what it's about to say, and then I listen to what so I read the text, and then I crush it, and then it says what I just read. And the second it is done, I have forgotten completely what they have said. Like I think that my takeaway is that like everything here is completely memorable. If not well delivered, or everything here is completely not memorable, even though it's like it's well delivered.
yeah.
Um,
So I
yeah,
have a question for you. In the game, early on, you meet a soldier who is taken captive by some marauders. You help free him, and then he doesn't follow you. He just keeps reoccurring as you progress further into the game. And once you kill the first behemoth, he remembers who he is, and then like there's some mystery shrouded in him. And you also meet this, I don't know, I would just call her a goddess or
it's
some,
like a fire spirit woman. Yeah,
yeah, spirit person. So she plants in your head that, hey, this guy's actually bad news. And he's following you on purpose. He's going to stab you in the back. He's not good. But then obviously when you speak to him, he's like, "Hey, I'm here to support you. My whole kingdom is yours. How can I help?" He gives you stuff. So obviously only 20% of the way through, Alex. Where do you think his name's, I think, Trapper? Where do you think Trapper is going? You think he's good guy, bad guy? What's your thoughts here?
yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm glad you brought this up. Like I said, it's forgettable. I almost forgot this. Um, this is a pretty interesting part of the story, right? Like, who's the bad guy? The person in your head, or the person that's actually like helping you, showing you stuff? Like they're both helping you, right? She's getting you new weapons and new powers. He's showing you how to upgrade and like selling you stuff and doing helpful things in that manner. So somebody here, and they, he doesn't know about her, but she's like, you got to watch out. Be careful who you trust here in this land. Um,
But is it
but
interesting
honestly,
though? I feel like that's done to death, you know?
it's no, it's not special, but it's at least a little enough intrigue. I feel like, if I had to put my money down, he's going to be like one of the last boss fights, right? He's going to be a behemoth above all behemoths, and he was waiting for the other ones to die or something like that. That's what I'm
Really? So you think it's a little, not paranormal is the wrong word. You think he's going to transform into a behemoth?
supernatural. I mean, I think I'd put my money on him being a bad guy that you have to fight. I don't know if, but in the same vein, I could see that maybe this spirit lady is waiting for her behemoth body to awaken or something. I just feel like one of these two is going to be the big bad in the end, and this game doesn't feel like a game with enough meat on the bones to be like choose your own adventure. And by the time you get to the end, it's like you're fighting one or the other. Like it
Yeah.
just seems like a waste of design to do that.
I feel like he isn't the end boss because he was, I mean, unless it's all just a ruse, he was captured. If he was actually powerful, yeah, I don't think he'd be captured. I mean, and he's forgotten himself. I feel like he's the spirit woman. She could be manipulating us, right? She's giving, as Alex alluded to, she's giving you powers, and not that you're like asking for them, but she's like, "Hey, I see the fire in you. Take this supernatural, like you can become super strong for a second and like throw people across the world or break bricks and walls and like that's." Ah, I would lean towards she's being bad, but I agree. I don't think this has enough meat on the bones to be actually truly interesting. So I'm limited in how much I care, but good to get your thoughts. So
Yeah.
another small thing before we hop into the big, well, I think the biggest part of the game is the graphics. For me, they're nice. They're not bad. They're not the nicest I've ever seen. They're good enough that I'm not hampered by them. Like I forget about the graphics after playing about 10 minutes, which is where most games want to be, right? If you're thinking
Yeah.
about the graphics, either you are breathtaking, which just in VR we're not there yet, right? It's
Yeah.
you can't look like Final Fantasy Rebirth. You just can't, right? Not in VR. Or you're so bad that you can't get over because it looks so bad.
Because
And
it's
it's
distracting. Yeah.
exactly, and it's not either one of those camps. So for me, it's nice. Don't expect, kayak VR Mirage type graphics, but it's still very good, serviceable. I've got no issues.
I think, yeah. So I've read that like the front half of the game has better graphics than the latter half in terms of like
What?
backgrounds and things like that. Yeah, yeah. I'd like because the backgrounds get kind of like 2D looking and bad. I saw a screenshot somebody posted on Reddit and they're like, "This is unacceptable," but it didn't look that
Why
bad to
would
me.
is it because they're trying to hurry up? Is it like a
Yeah.
performance thing? Like
No,
what
it's probably because
caused
they're like trying to hurry up. I mean, for my money, I think the graphics look pretty damn good. Like I did take stock at one point because, like you, for a while playing it, I'm not noticing the graphics, which to me in VR is like a great bar to be at. Like I'm not distracted. I feel immersed. I'm not looking at things and being blown away. I just feel like I'm there.
Yeah,
Even the best looking games ever, unless it's like artistically exceptional, you're not going to notice the graphics after the first 30 minutes. So
yeah.
like my hands look good, right? The environments look good. The environment, the parts of the environment that matter look fine enough, right? The snow looks like snow. The walls look like walls. Um, the behemoth is where things fall apart a bit, but it's made up for in like magnitude. Um,
Really? See, gosh, I disagree. I thought the whole best part graphically was the Behemoth.
I'm just talking about like the texture on the behemoth itself. You start to see like the warping and the bending along the model and stuff like that. It doesn't. It starts looking video gamey to some degree. I'm not saying it wasn't impressive to be up against a giant creature like that, but like you start to notice things like, oh, you get close to the behemoth and you're like, oh yeah, I can't wait to see it. And then it blows like a ton of snow in your face and you can't see anything, which is like they're obviously loading up the actual behemoth model, not the movie that you saw playing in the background, as you were approaching it. So stuff like that.
I mean, part of my issue with you, Alex, and it's fine, teach their own, but you don't let I don't think you let yourself be part of the moment. And that inhibits your enjoyment of some games, certainly not all of them. But in this case, I didn't even notice that because I'm taking in the moment, the magnitude of the moment. The last thing I'm thinking about are graphics, right? And that's something like that you even notice blows my mind. It's why games like, I don't know, a Kingdom Hearts or a possibly a Final Fantasy or even games that we've reviewed like recently, you don't fully get in because I think you're so calculating that you're constantly I bet you're horrible to watch a movie with. Are you
No, I
bad?
just shut up. I just shut up during a movie. But no,
Yeah.
what you're saying is the point, right? If a game is good, I'm not calculating. But what's happening is I'm being distracted by something that's happening, and then I'm cognitively thinking like, why am I distracted by this right now? Why am I not feeling like I'm there? Oh, it's because this is too apparent, right? It's like what if you're walking towards the behemoth and you're like, yeah, this is cool. The behemoth, I'm about to fight him. And then you saw like a T-posing behemoth model slowly lower down into the gameplay area, and then it starts animating. And it's like obviously it's an asset that's been loaded into the game. What would you then say like, oh, you should just be in the moment and just be excited about the fact you're fighting the behemoth? No, it's a distracting, glaring issue that the game has or shortcut that it's having to take that takes you out of the moment so you can't enjoy this stuff. So that's what's happening there. I will say it doesn't happen a lot. I don't want to rat on the graphics of the game. I think the graphics of the game are great. There's really good touches too. Like there's a couple times when I killed enemies and like I got the sword stuck in their head and then they're like stuck on the sword and I like lower them down. And as I'm lowering them down, their eyes are still open and they're like blinking a bit. And then they just like their eyes roll into the back of their head. Like that was pretty disturbing. Didn't expect to see that kind of detail in a VR game. But then it happened like the second time and the third time and the fourth time and the fifth time, and then it stopped being impressive. But like they do have some nice touches that when you notice them, it's pretty cool.
Here's the thing, and I'm gonna jump into one of the things I enjoy most. Going back to the behemoth thing and why you're wrong. So you're right. At some point, if it's so bad, you're right. You can't live in the moment, but it's got to be pretty bad. the first time I saw the Behemoth, I was shocked. I was in awe of how this game made you feel the magnitude of that moment. For the first time in VR, I felt like I was super small fighting an actual huge behemoth. Like it made really, it's the first time in any VR game I felt that. And obviously, in other VR games, you're playing really big bosses, right? But I've never felt so small, insignificant, and like a sense of hopelessness. Like, what am I supposed to do with that, right? And that game captured that so well. And that's why I wasn't thinking about, oh, look at the texture. Oh, there's snow in my face, so I can't quite notice it. That's your problem, man. Be in the moment. Feel it, Alex. You don't feel it. Like,
So you make a good point. The very first time you see the behemoth, like early in the level, when there's the guys like shooting arrows and stuff at you, and then you just see the behemoth's big iron ball just like smash them. At that point, I was like, "Well, that okay, that dude's big." I knew I was fighting big guys. That dude's bigger than I thought. I don't know how I'm gonna fight that guy. Which is like that's exactly the feeling you want to instill in the player. So I give them props for that. It's just the mirage kind of like faded when I had like the obvious like wind screen, snow screen hit me in the face to keep me from doing anything while it loaded assets. I will say when I was fighting the behemoth, it was a damn impressive fight. I was disappointed that there was no way to like get on his back and really experience the thrill of the height and stuff like that. But you did have to do some climbing and fighting, and it was very impressive. But I look forward to what the other behemoths are going to be like. I think.
this gamer juice is so bad. Alex, let's talk about the gameplay because this is the meat and
Yeah,
potatoes of the whole thing.
yeah.
One thing that I really enjoy about the combat, eh, the potential of the combat is so this, as Alex alluded to, is very similar to Saints and Sinners. It's actual combat. You've got axes, dual-handed swords, knives, single-handed swords, bows. You have a shield. You can throw knives. You even have some like superpowers. So there's a lot of variety in weapons and ways that you can choose to perform combat. I really like that. Did you have a preference as you were going through?
Um, it's just a sword, right? Like there's an axe, right? So you can
You're
hold a
so
shield.
boring. It just
No, no, no. Listen, listen. I like to explore these different things. You can hold a shield, and the shield helps you block incoming attacks. You can use a sword, and the sword, you do sword fighting, and they'll attack you, and you got to like counter and parry by attacking in the exact opposite direction to get that parry. Or you at least have to have the sword held in that right direction in order to get a decent block. You have the axe, which is useful for like breaking armor or breaking shields. But to me, the axe was like unwieldy. For some reason, it was like however I swung it, it wasn't like catching the way I meant to swing it. And I couldn't overpower with it the way I would expect an axe to be able to. Um, the throwing knives took me a bit to get used to. You get daggers that you can throw. Took me a bit to get used to. Now that I've gotten that, I like that. The arrows I hate. This is the first VR game with a bow and arrow I abhor. Um, and maybe there's something wrong with my headset. I don't know. I hate it. And then and then at some point you get like a gigantic sword, like a two-handed sword that's like as big as your whole body. And that thing was freaking useless. I was so disappointed. The thing sucked so bad. Um, but then very quickly you get like a special mythical weapon that like you can't drop, right? It's always going to be in your inventory. And I really liked that because it does the whole like Thor thing where you can summon it back to your hand. So when I got that, I was just throwing it at enemies, like landing in their head and then pulling it back to me. That felt really cool. The downside is like I never need to pick up another sword. So yeah, what are your thoughts on the combat, Adam?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I didn't have the struggles you had with some of those weapons. I like the bow, but obviously it's weaker. But my complaint is exactly as yours. When you get that new weapon, and you get this because it's the only type of sword and metal alloy that can kill a behemoth. So it's a legendary, as Alex alluded to. It you don't need to use any of the other things. So although it was kind of fun to mix and match and change ways how to fight compared to who you're actually fighting and adjust, you have to have that sword. you have to have that, what soon will be for you, Alex, if you actually stopped at the first boss, the bow. And they're rendered useless. So like a really cool aspect of the gameplay they instilled in the first hour and a half ish, they eliminated. So
Yeah.
unless something happens, which I can't imagine that actually occurring, you don't need any of the other stuff. So I mean, it's kind of a bummer. You can equip 8 weapons, but yeah, you don't need them
Yeah,
because
you
even
need the two, right?
yeah, and like even when you're facing enemies who are armored, normally they're suggesting use the axe and that breaks through the armor. But you can still use a sword. Like it's
Yeah.
not like the sword doesn't do it. You can still kill them. It takes a little longer.
You parry them and then you can just hit them in the meat and they die after 2 hits, right? Like
Yeah,
it's
I will say I do like the fact that in the with the bow, what I did is I shot them in the calf, and they jump up and like you actually shot them in the calf, and it slows them down, and then I just keep shooting them in the calf, and they can die that way. I don't rely on that because it takes a long time. It's not very fun, but I liked how they reacted to where I shot them. Again, a nice touch for the combat that they had. I'm curious. So when you get farther enough in the game, you meet this little fire spirit we were talking about. She gives you these supernatural powers where you almost go into a rage mode and you can throw people around or break blocks or punch them. Do you use that?
yeah, that's the stupidest thing they could have ever done in this game. You
Okay,
get the
okay. I didn't know if
power.
it was just me or not. Okay, so
No.
you agree. Okay.
So you get the power, right? And it's like you hold down the main trigger button in PSVR, your right hand R2, and it engages this like temporary power, and you can use it to punch through walls that are already halfway broken. So it's not even like an exploration thing. It's basically just a key that you turn on to open doors. Um, However, when you have this engaged, I think your sword strikes can like pass through shields and stuff a bit better if you swing hard enough. But I'm never using it when I'm in battle because I'm having to find enough time just parrying. And then they're trying to teach you that you can grab, once you do that, you have enough strength to grab an enemy and throw them into like a spiked wall. But when I got to that point, I just saw the enemy standing there. So I just threw a dagger and hit him in the head and it killed him. His dead body's laying on the ground. And then the spirit lady's like, now grab this man and throw him into the wall to kill him. And I'm just like, why am I going to do that? I can't,
Uh,
I'm not going to do that. And
that's
then,
funny.
then I actually had the opportunity to do that, but it was a guy that had like armor on, like a helmet and a shield, and I spent like 10 seconds like just trying to like grab him while he was hitting me with a sword, and like nothing
Yeah.
was happening. And then I threw him, but he just like kind of fell on the ground a little bit. I was like, okay, this is obviously the worst mechanic in the VR game I can think of. So I just fought him traditionally, which for my money, like just lean into just the sword fighting,
It's
right? Like
fun, right?
yeah, it's not
Good.
getting
It's
old.
good. Yeah.
Yeah. Anytime I'm not sword fighting and I'm doing any other kind of fighting, it's like we got better things to do here.
Yeah, I totally agree. The only time I not in the boss fight that I died was when I tried to use the superpowers.
Yeah.
Just 'cause I wanted to try to use it, right? And
Yeah.
it's garbage. It's bad.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say. It's bad, but the combat itself is actually fun. So unless they're gonna make me use the superpower, I'm just gonna do what I like,
You
right?
might be able to unlock more powers, I think.
I bet that probably is gonna come,
Like
right?
if there's a power that's like when you're using the rage mode, like you throw a normal sword as if it were a dagger. Like I would use that. That would be great. Land in a room, there's 3 dudes, I do my rage mode, and I'm just like whipping that sword around like a dagger and calling it back. That would be cool. But aside from that, like I'm not punching dudes. I don't care about that. I'm not throwing them anywhere. Like that's not fun either, right? Like that's not fun gameplay. So yeah.
I yeah, I would have to think we are going to get some additional powers. But yeah, I'm gonna stick with the actual combat. Where would you put it in terms of VR combat? I mean, is it tip top? Is it Legendary Tales level? Is it above that? Where do you think the combat is?
That was my big question coming into this is Legendary Tales to me is the best we've seen in melee combat, in my opinion. Um, it's not waggle, it's physics based. It works really well and it's very versatile. This is not as good as that. If I know you're not going to say it's a 10 out of 10, but if Legendary Tales had a combat, like it's the end of the scale, it is, as for all intents and
Okay.
purposes, a 10 out of 10. I say Behemoth is like sitting in the 7 range or the 6 range, which isn't bad, but it's still missing things from like the Legendary Tales thing, like the versatility, right? Um, so yeah, it's not bad, but it's not broken, and it's certainly enjoyable. I should just like stick with sword fighting, hold a sword and do that,
Yeah, I mean I hate Legendary Tales. I
but not for the combat, right? It's for like everything else.
uh, it's just all bad. Like the combat isn't fun.
I
So
love the
like
combat. I love I can play the combat all day.
it's too slow. That's what I don't like about it.
I think you only played with like a heavy mallet user. Like I don't think you ever tried.
Dude, I did everything. I had two shields, I had swords, I had bows. I've tried
Did you
all
try just fists, like boxing?
I think I did try a fist. I
Did,
didn't get really super far into that build, but
did you try magic?
yeah, I hated magic.
Oh, I love the
Despite
magic.
magic's stupid. Hey,
I
either way,
love.
this is a legendary tale,
Okay.
thankfully.
Yep, you're right.
I could see though why you like Legendary Tales combat better. Personally, I prefer this. You can go a little more Rambo in this than you can Legendary
Yeah,
Tales. And that's why I like it better. Like I can go in and just start swiping away and using my shield or the parry feels I feel like it's maybe a little easier and feels better. So depending on how you like your combat, if you want a little more Rambo, I think you'll like this better. But if you like the more methodical and strategy, I do think you would like the Legendary Tales better.
I think the combat here is more. What's the word? Not visceral, vital, something like it. Like if you land a really good blow on the opponent, it's going to kill him in one hit, right? Like in this game in
Yeah.
Behemoth. So like if I parry the enemy and then I bring the sword down on his head, that sword's going in his head and he's dying. Legendary Tales doesn't do that, right? It's an RPG. You're taking hit points. They're not dead until they're dead. So to that degree, I think this is pretty cool. Like it took me a bit to get used to that idea because I'm used to Legendary Tales. But once I accepted, like, well, I did hit him in the head with the sword and he died. That was okay. But then it almost felt too easy. So it's like maybe I got to turn to the difficulty. I don't know, but it's I could see why you appreciate this more.
Sure. I also like the yeah, even with a bow and arrow, you shoot them in the head, they're dead. Like it's more realistic, right?
Yeah, yeah.
If you shoot someone in the head or you chop their neck off, they're gonna die, right?
Yeah.
Not, I hate Legendary Tales. Alex, coming in the next segment here, I want to talk about the platforming. I want to talk about the things we love and what we hate. Especially, I want to focus a little more on that boss fight. And we've got a decision to make. Any parting words for this segment?
No. I love Legendary Tales. I'll see you guys after the break.
This is segment two of Play PSVR2 and Gaming is in Session. We're going over Skydance's Behemoth and we have a lot to cover. But first, Alex, knock knock.
Who's there?
The chicken.
Um, uh,
I set him up and I knocked him down, folks.
uh,
I'm breaking him down.
I was
He's
wondering
a
why you were
shell of a
laughing so
man.
hard. That was great. That was Adam. That was great. When
That
you read that joke in the forward from your grandma in your email inbox, did it separate those jokes out?
Oh, she sent two emails. Yeah. And one of them went to spam. So it's even better because I didn't see it till months later. I was like, Grandma, why are you in my spam? Dude, that was the first joke you were just like, you didn't get it. You
I thought you were just going sheerly off like absurdity to be funny. Yeah.
yeah, no, I was I manipulated you. How does it feel to just be used like a piece of garbage, manipulated like the feeble little mind that you are? How does it feel?
I don't know. I feel like all the little boys you interact with when you go to the park.
Next. let's talk about the platforming. Alex, we part of the game I did not anticipate was platforming in this. It's not done very much in VR, especially in an action game. There are platformers that are kind of like cutesy, like that's their gimmick, like To the Top or the one I can't believe I'm blanking. The game where your arms are the springs.
Stilts.
Stilts. So there's games like that, but that's
Yeah.
the game. There's not like an action game that's has as much platforming as this, from what I remember,
I
right?
mean, Walking Dead Saints and Sinners had this, right? You had to like climb up pipes to get on top of buildings and stuff like that, and
I feel
clamber
like
in the
this is
windows.
different. Like you're really using, you have a grappling hook hooked to your left arm,
That
and
that is
you
new,
can,
yeah.
like, yeah, that. So I'm not gonna lie. At first, I hated this. I wasn't very good with it. It wasn't very intuitive. The button combinations of knowing like how do I fall down, how do I climb up, when do I release to get projected forward, like there's a lot of platforming in this.
Yeah.
And again, in the beginning I hated it, and then I've gotten to the point where I'm good enough at it now that it's, I won't say it's like a challenge, but I don't mind it. I guess maybe it's a little bit of a challenge. What are your thoughts on the platforming? Did you see it coming, and how do you think they implemented that aspect of the game?
I mean, I saw it coming. I heard that there was a grappling hook. I don't know what it is about me. I love grappling hooks in games. Like if there's a grappling hook in a game, I'm probably going to play the game just to see how the grappling hook works. But I was excited to hear that. But also, like this is trying to be kind of like a VR Shadow of the Colossus, which like the climbing is an important part of that. I knew I'd be climbing up Behemoth, so I knew there was something there. Now, like you mentioned, other games have kind of done this, but they haven't done it in a way to where the climbing means anything. Like think about when you play Uncharted and you climb up like a mountain, it's like a very brainless activity. It's like hold the controller up. There's only one way you can go, right? There's only
Yeah.
one place for him to go, and that's it. And it's like after the second time of doing it, it loses all spectacle and loses most of the fun. This one started to feel at first like okay, I've seen this before. I'm climbing, whatever. But then there was a point I think later on in like near the first Behemoth fight where they kind of remind you like listen, if you're not on top of this, you're going to run out of stamina and you're going to fall. And I was like climbing across like a mountain bluff and there was like nothing beneath me and I could see ahead of me like where I could grab the rocks to climb further, but there were definitely choices there where it's like if I don't pick the right rock, I might run out of stamina because I know at the end of this path I have to have enough stamina to jump and grab that last rock and pull myself up. It didn't end up being like down to the wire, but the fact that it got me thinking about it made me think, okay, there could be something to this, like climbing as a challenge, climbing as a platform in VR, and I really enjoyed that. So I'm on board with the climbing. It works pretty well. Like especially a lot of times, this climbing stuff like sucks when you get to the top and you're trying to like hoist yourself over. This game kind of resolves that, so I'm happy for that. The grappling hook, like you said, initially it feels super wonky and super weird. I feel like the levels could be laid out a bit to kind of tutorialize that a bit better, especially the swinging, right? Like to swing, you grapple, then you have to like retract, like pull yourself in with the grapple enough so that you start swinging, and then you have to hit the grapple button again to let go, and that'll give you the swing effect. But it's not intuitive at first, and you don't know what you're doing. But I slowly felt myself getting better, more familiar with the buttons, to where I could see like, oh, I got to cross this gap by swinging. Yeah, I know how to do that. Here's the button combination and the right timing to make that happen. I'm still not having as much fun as I would in like a game like Bionic Commando, where like grappling is how you move. But I don't think this game's trying to do that. So it is nice to like see, look around, like how do I get up there? And I see a grapple spot and I pull myself up, and it feels cool to just be like zipping up like Batman to get to the top of a cliff. So I'm enjoying it. It's a nice interlude from the combat. It's not. I don't get disappointed when the platforming starts.
Do you think there's too much of it?
Not right now. Not yeah. Not right now. It
Okay.
seems well balanced. Yeah.
I mean, I would lean more toward it's a little too much, but it's maybe a good problem. I like the combat enough that I just want to fight guys. I don't want
Yeah.
to have to platform. I don't have to want to search for keys. I don't want to talk to people. I don't care about the plot. Just let me fight people, right? But that's a good part to be. Most games I'm like, just let me finish it. This is miserable. So At least it's not there, right? So
Yeah.
I want to hop into, well, with that, also for myself, one last comment on it, and I'm curious if you feel the same too. The grappling is where I really feel the visceral effects of VR. Like I'm afraid of heights in real life. So I feel something when I'm flying up there, especially when you fly up and then you jump. So let's say we're going up ahead of us, so in front of you and up.
Yeah.
So you're like flying toward where you grappled, and then you can kind of, as you even said, Alex, let go and then you continue to fly. When I do that and look down, or just act of doing that, I don't, obviously my stomach doesn't get that dropped feeling because it's not in real life, but it almost tricks me into thinking that it is. And that feels pretty cool. Just that, again, something a flat game will never be able to provide you, that visceral response. And I get that in the grappling and the platforming a lot. Like, I'm almost afraid. Like, there's a bit of my body that's like when I'm going on these platforms and I have to jump from rope to rope, that I'm like, dude, don't,
Yeah.
don't fall, or you're gonna die. Like, there's a piece of me that feels that, and it's really cool. You know,
Yeah.
you don't want to feel
That
like you're gonna die, but I don't know if they do a good job or if that's just that VR is great. I'm not sure which one.
I think you have to do a good job to make it feel like VR is great and make it not feel frustrating, right? But like it's a happy result that I think it's somewhere in the second level, right? Early on, you have to jump from grapple spot to grapple spot, and it's not hard to do it. But just you knowing that, like, if I don't nail this, I'm down and we're gone and I die. Um, yeah, it that feel again. The feeling swelled up inside of me, where for a moment I was like, I better freaking do this right because I can't afford to mess up. Um, yeah, so no, I think the grappling's good. It's not the greatest grappling I've seen. Like Windlands 2, on PSVR 2, that does some really good grappling, but that game is all grappling, so it better nail it. This game isn't all grappling, so yeah, I want to circle back a bit to your point of like I just want to fight guys. To some degree, I do. I think the combat is trying not to overstay its welcome, but it doesn't stay long enough to enjoy the party. Like every time I have a fight, it's like it's over a little bit too soon. I wish there were more enemies to fight. And then the one time there were more enemies to fight was like the bow and arrow only section, and I was so pissed. Um, but other than that, yeah, the platforming is going great for me so far. It for anybody that just starts playing, they get frustrated in the first level. Just keep going; it'll click. It'll click by the second level, and you're good to go.
Yeah. So let's talk about the things we don't like, and then we'll end on a positive note on the things that we love. Because I feel like we've gone through, are there any other categories or aspects of the game you don't think we've covered before we hop into the stuff we dislike and like?
I mean, you mentioned in the script exploration. There is some exploration. There's like hidden things. I don't
Mm.
care about them. Like if I find a little wooden carved animal, it does nothing for me. It's a trophy hunting, fine. Um, I'm not finding cool weapons because you get the coolest weapon by virtue of the plot. I'm not finding like the health is plentiful enough. Well, okay, one thing I am starting to find is after the first level, you can start upgrading your weapon, and I'm finding those things scattered around. So there's a bit of exploration there and like some small minor puzzles, but it's nothing that's like worth mentioning beyond what I've just said. So yeah,
Yeah, so the I don't mind it. Normally, I love finding things, and I still do, right? I said normally, not that I'm not enjoying them here, but it's tough. I can't say I'm like super enjoying it or I'm super motivated to find them. However, we think about Resident Evil, those you find, the one Resident Evil you had to find those little goats, right?
yeah,
And like I knew that I wasn't going to find them all and I wasn't going to get the trophy or the ultimate prize for finding them all, but I still really enjoyed finding them for some reason.
yeah.
Like I searched them out. Like I went out of my way to try to find them. I don't feel that with this game, and I don't know why, but I don't mind it. The exploration is very limited. It's like,
I think
oh,
that's it. Yeah,
I went up one extra ladder, or oh, I opened one extra door and went into a special room. Whereas Resident Evil, Astrobot, these other games that excel in it, I feel like you really have to go out of your way to find it. Which, I mean, that's a double-edged sword because then you know as a player you're not going to find them all because I'm not going to invest in that an extra 5 hours in a game just to find it all. But maybe it feels more rewarding because you're like, I went out of my way to find that. Whereas here, I don't feel really rewarded for finding that skull. I'm like, oh, I
Yeah.
went up one more grappling, hook swing. So,
I
like,
mean, the other thing that kind of mutes it is like you get into kind of this hub world after the first Behemoth, and it's like this nice, peaceful area. And I was walking around in there, and I found like a grapple spot that was like kind of hidden, right? Like you had to kind of look for it, and I found it, and I grappled up there, and I was like, "Sweet, what's going to be in here?" And I looked around, and there was absolutely nothing there. And so like
oh,
that kind of and this happened a couple of times playing through the game where like I'm looking a bit deeper than I would expect myself to, and I get no reward for it. And that to me like mutes like, okay, best case scenario, I get a carved animal statue that does nothing. Worst case scenario, I get nothing. Okay, why am I doing this at all? So it's like I feel like as I get further in the game, I'm just not going to explore because like I'm not going to find a new weapon that matters. I don't care about the animals because I'm not going to try to find them all. I have enough health all the time. Like I don't need any of this stuff.
yeah. Do you want to start with things we hate or love?
I think we can do things we love because it'll be a short list because we kind of talked about it already.
Yeah. So I think for me, I have talked about this already. The very first thing, feeling the magnitude of the first Behemoth, how big he was. Again, it truly made me feel insignificant and small, and it felt like a colossal obstacle was in front of my eyes. That I think was really neat. Again, no other VR game has done that for me. That was just a really neat moment. I didn't even feel that in Shadow of Colossus, even though the scale was even bigger and the enemies were even bigger than you were. But I think the fact that you're in VR here and it's not just, oh, that guy's bigger than my character, that guy's bigger than you now, like the
Yeah.
person. So again, I think they really, with the first Behemoth at least, did an excellent job with that. What's the first thing on your list?
I mean, obviously the behemoth, like the boss fight, is the best part. The combat's fun. I'm enjoying the platforming. That first behemoth fight was like, okay, this is what they're setting you up for. This is good. I had some things that were kind of I didn't love about the first behemoth fight, but I all told, like, yeah, that was fun. That was awesome. Dude was huge, and I want to do that as much as possible. I think is my takeaway after that. I want to fight those big guys as much as possible. Although you said the guy's really big, think about this, Adam. Think about how big that first behemoth is, and then think about how big some of the levels are in like to the top, right? And you can fall from the top of to the top all the way down to the bottom of to the top. And think about how long that fall is and how bad you feel when you fall. Not even like getting health taken away, just like you've
Yeah,
lost so much progress. And that's what bothered me with this first behemoth was like I never felt like that. Like if I lost something, if I fell off, I lost ground in a severe way, and it was never daunting. Like in Shadow of the Colossus, I'd see the enemies be like, I got to get on top of his head. How am I going to do that? This guy was I didn't never really feel like that, and it never meant that. Never made me think that way. Granted, this is the first one. We got like three or four more ahead of us. Um, so but I still, it was a really good fight. I hope the other ones kind of up the scale in some way.
okay, fair, fair. The other thing, again, we've already talked about combat. I did enjoy the combat, right?
Yeah,
It was my favorite part of the game, not the boss fight, but the normal combat. It like I don't know. I liked using a combination of bow and arrow and shield and swords and even if it was almost just like a wave shooter and it was a 10-hour game of I move into an area and it's just a repeat of enemies coming in, like it's fun. Now I'm sure at some point if you don't spice it up that would get old, but right now 20% of the way through the game, I should have looked. I mean, we pretty much played through the first Behemoth, right? I
Yeah,
doubt that's a third of the game. I bet it is close to
it's
20.
about 20%. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I've got to think what we played 2, 3 hours, I'm imagining.
I think there's 4 behemoths. Like they tell you.
I think they said three though.
Yeah, I think there's like an extra one or some shit. Yeah.
Oh, okay, thanks for ruining it. But okay. So yeah, like it was fun. And I was
Yeah.
like, I could do that for 10 hours and be like, okay, yeah, I had a good time. I don't want any more of it, but I had a good time and I don't yeah, they really did a really good job at making it you can be strategic, you can be Rambo, you have multiple different methods. Like, yeah, we're right. We mentioned it before. You don't need to use the axe or the shield. You really only need that one sword, but you could still use the others if you want. They're just unnecessary, but you could choose to have variety if you want. So, yeah, I like the combat. That's my second thing I love there.
Yeah, I'll just echo that. I mean, the combat surprisingly works really well. Once I got used to it, it works really well and it's fun. My only detriment to it is like I want a little bit more, right? And in every combat situation, I never felt stressed out, and I need like a little bit of stress to feel like something's at stake. Like archers are shooting at me, but they're like missing a lot. They're not close to hitting me. Even if they do hit me, they don't do that much damage. So I'm always feeling like it's a lineup of one-on-one dudes I'm sword fighting, and then I slowly work my way to the archers and kill them. Um, so if they up the stakes a bit, make it a bit more I don't know, scary to fight these guys, then I'll probably enjoy it more. And I'm sure that's going to happen as we get further in the game, if we get further in the game.
Maybe. Yeah. So, speaking of that, well, are there any other things you love that you want to highlight?
Not that the grappling hook. I love
Yeah.
grappling hooks. Anyways, it's cool. It's cool. It's fun to do. That game Arashi that people kind of panned is like a diet version of this game. But I think Arashi made the grappling hook a lot more fun to use, just because it was like you're just zipping around with it like Spider-Man. You're not swinging. Um, so yeah, I like the grappling hook. There you go. Yeah,
Okay, fair enough. All right, so I'm gonna put on my critic hat. Let's talk
yeah,
about the things we hate.
yeah,
It's always fun to be haters, and I'm gonna hate on the bosses. Although I appreciated the magnitude and the moment of fighting the first boss, I despised that fight. The only thing that even made it remotely palatable is that they gave you a save spot in the middle of that fight. I was terrified after the fight's kind of broken up into three different parts.
yeah,
And I did the first two parts and then had a miserable time. And then there was a third part, and part of the reason I didn't like the fight is I didn't know what I was doing. There are hints. I mean, I'll dive into it. The first two parts are pretty obvious. Okay, there's something on there you know you need to grapple and rip off and stab with a sword. And the spirit girl is telling you kind of what to do, but it's obvious, right?
yeah, yeah,
Okay. The third part, she will give you a hint, but you borderline already have to do what you're supposed to do in the first place for her to give you the hint. So I felt in that third part very helpless. And I was trying to be clever. I knew how Shadow of the Colossus worked, which I despised that game and I detested its boss fights. And this is like a mini version of that. But I knew they wanted you to kind of somewhat be clever. So I was like, all right, when the guy moves, he makes big steps to try to step on you, and his feet turns red. So am I supposed to like, and it's also confusing. They had little swords hidden around the area from like other enemies who had died or whatever. So I was like, do I need to grab one of those and hold up so he steps on the sword and then maybe, he'll react and then I can take advantage? Like you said, am I trying to grapple his shell and climb up him? Am I trying to do something? He is attached to a big like a ball, like a
yeah.
ball and chain, essentially. So do I need to try to like grab on that or work with that in some way? And then like initially I thought there's a big stake that I did think at some point I'm probably he's either gonna fall on that maybe. So I tried to trip him up. And then what you're supposed to do is he has like a necklace on, and then you grapple the necklace. I don't think this is a huge spoiler, so I'm just
No,
gonna
it's not a
do it.
spoiler. Yeah.
Yeah. So you grapple the necklace and then you pull him down onto the spike. I thought maybe that's what you had to do, but to get in the precise position you need to be in to get him to perform the right action is I mean, I have to be honest, Alex, I bet I died 15 to 20 times in that part trying to figure out what to do because I didn't want to cheat. I was like, I want to figure this out. Eventually, I had to look it up because I didn't know what to
Oh,
do.
really? Wow.
Yeah. And then what it turns out, I was doing what I was supposed to do, but you have to do it in such a specific manner. You have to be in the exact right spot. You can't waste time. I mean, I don't want to go too much detail because it's just unnecessary, but it's very specific on what you have to do to make it work. And although I had the right idea and I was trying to do the right thing, it wasn't in the exact right way the developers wanted you to do it. I hate that. It's why I hated Shadow of the Colossus. Although again, appreciate the magnitude of the boss fight, easily the most miserable experience of the game. Absolutely detested it. I do not want to see what the next two, God forbid, three bosses are like. Because if that's just the first one, F me raw, it's going to be miserable. That's my
So,
thoughts on the boss fight.
so I had like the opposite for you. Like at the beginning, I was like, I saw the thing on his foot that I had to pull off. I pulled that off, and then I was like, okay, stab it. Then after that, I was like, okay, I don't know what to do next because that you couldn't see the whole boss, so you can't quite because it's first person. Shadow of the Colossus, move the camera around, get a view of the whole boss. This you don't have that luxury, and you walk so slow, especially compared to how big the guy is.
That does suck. Yeah, they don't let you
Yeah.
sprint. Why'd they take the sprint function away?
So I think you can sprint, but you have to be moving forward. You can't move sideways and sprint. And so it feels like you can't sprint sometimes, but you can. You just have to be moving forward and turn your whole body with the analog stick to keep sprinting. Um, and then there's like a dash button too. But yeah,
Yeah, I
that
dashed, but yeah, I couldn't. Okay, maybe I was just always trying to go catty corner
it's
rather
very
than
easy to
straight
accidentally do
ahead.
that, I think. Yeah, because my sprint would die all the time because I thought like I'd accidentally try to go diagonal. Um, So I was a bit like, okay, where do I go? I know I got to go somewhere and do this again. And then the spirit lady had to be like, climb up his foot. And then I was like, the foot that I just stabbed? What's going on? Because the texture difference isn't apparent enough at a distance. Because I'm staying far away. Dude's going to stomp on me. You can't tell if you're far away that, oh, there's the stuff I got to climb to go stab the next thing. But then when it got to the point that you're talking about where he swings that big ball, he breaks apart this like ship in the ice, and there's a big stake and then he stood over the ship, and I saw that necklace dangling down that I had previously already tried to grab, but I couldn't because it was blocked.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, he's hanging over that thing quite a long time. Obviously, I got to do something there. And so I went and just hung around the stake a long time until he did like three or four moves. Like he almost like sat down at one point, and then he swung the ball at me again, and I dodged it. Um, and then this I thought this was really cool. I thought I was just gonna like do the grappling hook and just make something happen. But no, you got to like grab the rope, then grab the rope, then grab the rope, and build up the tension, and then yank it, and then it pulls him down on the stake. That was really cool. What sucked was you had to do it twice. I thought that was stupid. Like I just impaled his neck with a giant wooden stake. Let it be. You made me do what you wanted me to do. Then I just had to sit and wait. I just waited there for him to do all his animations and then finally come back around again so I could do it again. That was kind of stupid. Um, so I think you're not fast enough to enjoy what you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be approaching this guy like a puzzle, right? But you're not fast enough to take in what's happening to enjoy it like a puzzle because you're walking so slow. He's just stomping all over you, so I had to heal a bunch. I never died because I'm better at video games than you. But it was yeah. They could have done better on this one. I will say I know some things about the next boss that I'm really excited to play. So I want to see what that is. But I thought this was a good boss fight. Even though it was a bit prescribed, I thought it was pretty good. And I did not die 15 times like you said. I could see how that would be frustrating, but it all seemed pretty obvious to me aside from like the second foot.
Yeah. I mean, I knew what to do, but to get in the right position to do it,
What are you
especially
talking
after
about?
the
You just
die
stand
one
next to the
time.
stake.
Well, so did you die at all during the boss fight?
No.
Okay, so if you die once, right,
Yeah.
you spawn all the way back. and then he crushes the ship. But
Again?
for you to run over in the right position to get him to yank him is like you're not fast enough. So
Oh.
then what happens is you have to like survive and maneuver for like maybe 3 or 4 real-time minutes and then set yourself up to get him in the right spot again.
Oh yeah. I mean that part sucked. I didn't get him the first time, but the second time I was like, okay, now I'm just hanging out here while he walks around a bit. That was bad. I didn't like that.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, I think that's the other complaint I have about the boss fight is that it's too slow.
yeah.
Like even when he tossed the ball and it fell down and you grappled and like you said you're having to pull the rope. I mean, the dude stood there. It was very obvious that like the guy made a move and then he stood there for like 40
Yeah.
seconds.
That's
Even
what
when you
flagged to me.
had
I got to
to
pull him on the
stab
thing.
him
Yeah.
with the sword and the ankle and stuff, like they have to give you time to do that, but you're so slow, it ruins the experience
Yeah.
because it's like they're kind of handing it to you. Whereas, admittedly, in Shadow of the Colossus, your movements mattered. You had to be fast, and the timing was better. It wasn't like, oh, the boss moved, and then he sat there for 2 minutes while you did the obvious thing to try to kill him. It just lessened the, I think, the stress and then the realism of it, right?
I think
Like,
it would have made better sense to like hit him somewhere that didn't hurt him, but it stunned him, and then you yank him.
yeah,
Like hit him, do it. Like what?
I think we lost
Did my internet
Alex.
die?
Well, he did, but I think you are back. He is not back. All right. So, similar to what he was saying, I agree in that, like when I tried to stab him in the foot when he came down, if that stunned him or something, right? Which would make sense. It's like stepping on a tack. And then you run up his foot and stab him or climb up his leg and stab him. That makes sense, right?
Yeah. But it didn't. When you tried to stab him, it didn't do anything, right?
I mean, yeah, no, no, just regularly, yeah, it did absolutely nothing.
See, that should have been how you impale him. You should have had to face the danger of getting stomped, stab his foot, and then that stuns him enough to where you can then grab him and yank him. That's what they should have done. But to your point, it was stupid that like you really just gotta wait a bunch. Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. So moving on, my argument also is just I love the fighting and there's not enough of it.
yeah,
Like maybe that'll change. I don't think there's too much platforming. There's too much plot. There's too much other crap. All I want to do is freaking fight, dude. Let me fight.
yeah.
Um,
I hate when I'm walking through the level. I'm like sprinting through the level, and suddenly I'm like I have to walk slow because I got to listen to that woman talk to me about something. Like you're not. It's not that interesting. I hate when games do this. It's not that interesting. It's not more interesting than what I was doing when you made me stop moving. And they should know that. Like I don't want to be mean to the writers of the game, but like you should know. Like that's not what we're here for.
yeah,
Um, yeah,
definitely. For me, similar to what you just said, the plot is just not great, right? I
yeah,
mean, now most games aren't. Right? Do I love Resident Evil plots? No. But it's just like I don't know. We're at a point, which is a good thing. We're almost at a precipice where we're to the point where the plots need to matter. Like we're past the gimmicky stage in VR, where the very best
yeah,
games now need to consider what do I have to do to engage these people with a plot and to be invested in the characters. So it's a good thing, but this game doesn't have it. Then the last thing
yeah.
for me, unlike you, I never got the throwing mechanics, and I think they're the worst I've seen in any VR game. I don't know what
So
I'm
I
doing
thought that
wrong.
too.
Yeah,
I thought that too. I think they use the eye tracking. I think it uses eye tracking, but you also have to like really throw it. Because I would like most VR games, you can kind of fake the throw and it'll do a full throw. This one, it didn't work until I was like actually throwing it, like really hoofing it and keeping my eyes on what I'm trying to do. And I was sniping dudes across the map, hitting them in the head with a knife thrown at them. Like I was better than the archers doing it. So
Hmm.
It's funny. You liked the throwing mechanics in Resident Evil 4. I hated it, but you hate the throwing mechanics here, and I actually kind of like it. I did hate it at first though, and I was like, I'm never going to do it again. I got in a situation where I had to throw a knife, and it worked like gangbusters, and then I never looked back.
Yeah, interesting. I can keep working. Anything else that you disliked?
No, I mean, nothing I outright disliked. I think it's mostly just things that didn't quite live up to what I expected, but I'm not having a bad time.
Okay, fair. Alex, unfortunately, I think we're going to have a small third segment, but I don't want to rush the final discussion of do we play this or not, and then talk about the next game. So let's go to the next segment. It'll be a short one, but then we'll cover are we going to continue playing Behemoth? We might have some PSVR sales. Normally, we don't do this and gaming is in session, but this is Play PSVR2, the podcast, baby. So we're covering sales, and then we'll see where else the night takes us. Stick with us. We'll be right back. Segment 3, we can't get enough. You can't get enough. We're gonna just keep coming and come in, come in, come in, come in, come in. Black Eyed
Say
Peas,
the word coming one more time, Adam.
come in. Black Eyed Peas. I didn't make that up.
Oh, okay. All right. All right.
Yeah,
Adam, let's get into this then. Before we address the issue, if we're gonna keep playing this game, I want to recap quickly because you made the comment, Alex, you love every game. We're gonna play every game if it's up to you. First game we covered was Astrobot. We both said yes, and we played that.
clearly, yes.
Second game we covered was Plucky Squire. We both said no. I will say
Clearly, yes.
they released a patch on Plucky Squire to remove the hand holding, which is our big thing we were complaining about. Either I think we have an outsized effect on the gaming industry that people just don't want to recognize.
Yeah,
Um,
it surprised me. You came up with the idea, co-CEO. What Sony, what PlayStation do? They did it. What
yeah,
we say they don't need to handhold. What they do? They fixed it. Yes,
your camera turned off there, Adam,
I
but that's
know,
okay.
I
I'll keep.
know.
All right,
It's because I get animated.
so what's going to happen is, 10 years from now, your ball sucking move controller video is going to go super viral. It's going to be in the Smithsonian. Then 100 years from now, people are going to see that and say, "What was that guy all about?" And they're going to find this podcast and be like, "Hot damn, those dudes were on the pulse, man. They knew what was going on. They knew how things worked." We're like, I don't even know. We're like one of those artists that lived in poverty and then their works became worth millions of dollars 100 years later. That's what this podcast is, apparently.
Exactly. It's banger, banger after banger, banger after banger, banger. That's how it is.
Oh, Adam, we then played Silent Hill 2. I said yes to keep playing, so we had to keep playing. You tried to say no, but I drug you through the mud on that one. And I honestly, I don't think you regretted it too much. Um, that was the only one we had disagreement
Oh,
on.
it wasn't worth the time investment. Uh, but okay.
And then we played Sea of Stars and we both said no. So I don't think it's fair that I've said no to 2 out of the 4 games.
And admittedly, I am surprised. I but I think I have something going for me. You are a just eternal optimist, right? But I don't think you really feel that way. You just don't like telling the truth. You're a perpetual liar. So, but what's happening with this podcast is you have to say the truth because you can't hide behind the blanket of, hey, I know there are other games that I'm going to have to record and play to review. So I don't have to continue playing this game, but I'll say I like it and it's great. But now we can't move forward, and I'm forcing you to play the game. So you have to come to the real reality of no, half the games on the market do suck, and we shouldn't play them. And it's the beauty of this podcast. We have a backlog, and it's do you want to play this more than those other games you're dying to play? The Death Strandings, the what soon will be what is it? The Metal Gear Solid remake. Like,
Yeah.
how bad do you want it? That's why I love this idea. And I'm enjoying it. But I am surprised. I'm not quite ready to give you your comeuppance yet, but you're getting there. You're getting there.
I did forget in this list Evo. We both said yes on Evo as well,
Correct. Yeah, yeah.
which is a good call. All
And
right.
yeah.
So now it comes down to the point, Adam, is I don't know if you have a preamble or anything, but are we going, do you, not, I'm not going to say are we going to, do you want to keep playing Behemoth? We're 20% of the way through. There's four more Behemoths, three or four more Behemoths.
So here's what I do have a little. I want to start by saying something, right?
Yeah.
I believe this game is, we will look back and we will appreciate and say Behemoth is the game that started something. I feel like Behemoth is the Resident Evil, is the, I don't know, a lot of those PlayStation games that tried 3D environments. I don't want to say Super Mario 64 because that was just they knocked out of the park, right?
Yeah.
That's wild. They did that well, that fast with the 3D environment.
You're thinking like Bubsy 3D, Jumping Flash.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I feel like Behemoth is solidly right there. Like they are so close, but there's things that just they're not perfected, and it prevents it from being something that is close to a masterpiece, right? The boss fights are too slow. The plot isn't there. The combat, like it doesn't have a lot of depth. Like they're ruining some of the depth that it had. So they're doing a lot of good stuff. They're laying a just fantastic foundation, but they're not quite there. They may be better than everyone else, but we're not quite there. So although I appreciate the crap out of Behemoth, and I think it is like I said, the start of something special, I don't want to keep playing this. What ruined it was the boss fight. The boss fight obviously is the big thing of the game, and I hated it. I despised it. It sucked. I I didn't like it in Shadow of the Colossus, and I don't like it here. I don't know what I'm doing. It's too robotical. You just die over and over and over, and I mean it's not fun. Like, give me more guys to fight. I would rather have a barrage of 50 guys I have to kill in one go than fight one behemoth. And to think that I may have three more makes me almost more sick than the freaking Coke Zero and Oreo slushy.
Did you finish it, by the way?
I did. It's terrible.
That's worse than eating a bean. Yeah.
Terrible. Yes.
Okay. So you vote no. All
So
right.
I vote no. Yes.
I'm thinking hard about this, Adam. I'm thinking real hard because
I see. I'm
here's the
already
reality.
shocked that you're thinking about it. I didn't think there was a heck. I didn't think there was one way in hell's iota that you would have said no. But you're thinking about it.
So we got a couple things weighing on me, right? Like we decided what the next game is going to be, didn't we?
I gave you the option. See, that's what almost. Ah, gosh. Well, I need to accept the good and the bad, right? It could play in my favor, where if there's a game you want to play next, you may be more likely to hop over this and be like, yeah, I want to play Metal Snake Solid or whatever the F it's
Metal
called.
Snakes.
But also it works inversely. I gave you the option of Final Fantasy 16 or Pokemon Crystal. You need to play a Pokemon game. I think they're fun.
Yeah.
And Final Fantasy 16 is just freaking incredible. And I think if that plot doesn't get you going, if that music doesn't get you going, I'm driving to your house and checking for a pulse. But I want to give you the option. And I think unless you
I picked Pokemon because like I know Final Fantasy is going to be like a bigger thing than what we had them, It's going to be a bigger version of Final Fantasy, which I've experienced. I haven't really given Pokemon an honest
You
shake.
haven't given the last Final Fantasy you played was so long ago. They changed. It's a changed thing. 16 is so good. Like
I'm
if you
sure.
play the
No,
beginning of it,
I
it's a little
legitimately want
weird.
to play it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Anyhow,
it.
your pick. You want to play Pokemon? By golly, I'm playing Moemon right now.
Yeah.
So it will be fun to go from what's kind of a more modernized version of the Pokemon games, which I don't love as much, to what I think Crystal, in my opinion, it gives you what the foundation of Pokemon was, like why it became really famous, but it still has the old school feel. Like the sprites, it's not a 3D world. The sprites aren't like 3D. It's like artistic, but it's not the first version, right? To
This
where
is
like it's ugly. It's not that case. So
this is the meta strategy of the podcast now. Adam's trying to really hype up Pokemon to try to get me to say no to Behemoth.
no,
So,
no.
so
I'm
that
just letting you
oh,
know
you know what?
why
That
I
does sound really
chose.
fun.
I mean, maybe I should do this in the next podcast, but I'm trying to explain why I chose Crystal over
Yeah,
all
yeah.
of the versions, right?
I know, but it's
But
like
it is funny. Yeah, yeah, you're right.
I mean, so this is where we diverge, Adam. Is like you had a horrible time with the boss fight. I had like a not so bad time with the boss fight, and so much so it was like, okay, I want to see what the next one's like. Um, that being said, like the Alien Incursion game just came out. But another big game just came out on PSVR2 that I'd rather that I know I would rather play than
Wait,
Behemoth.
the Alien that VR game, right?
Yeah, it just came out like yesterday. Yeah,
Dang.
there's a bunch of Metro Awakening just came out too. Like both of those, I know now that I want to play more than Behemoth. But I've started Behemoth. I don't think it's like 10 hours long, right? We're 20% of the way through, and it's not going to be a heavy lift to get to the end of it. And I do want to see if like one at least one of those behemoths delivers an experience, and I'm really hoping it delivers. So I gotta say, we're playing it, man. We're playing
I
it,
have to knew it.
and you should be
I think
happy.
this was all a mirage, so I don't make fun of you. I want to play every game. I hope the next behemoth's just stuck on ice. I hope they are trash, and I hope you regret your decision. And I am gonna grumble and complain the entire way.
So I mean, what's the rule then? Do we have to finish the game now, or do we do another 20? Like, what if I play like 30% more and I decide I'm out? Should I
Nope,
just
we
tell
gotta
you?
finish it.
All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. I
Does
mean,
that
yeah.
change your opinion?
No, it's a couple hours, man. It's Christmas break. I'm not going to work for a couple of days. Yeah, I'll
Dude,
play some Behemoth.
here's the thing though. My argument is that it's not like you don't have to play the game, right? Play it on your own time. But for the podcast, we can focus on a game that actually matters and is fun.
That's not a bad point, but I'm not going to play Pokemon Crystal and Behemoth at the same time.
Why? That's a perfect game to play at the same time because Pokemon's not going to take a bunch of your time.
I don't have the amount of time to split
You could
the.
play it in bed when you're playing Portal. Normally, you're playing freaking Helldivers 2. Just play a little bit of Pokemon. It's the same thing. You're telling me you're not playing Helldivers 2 right now? Because I know that's a freaking lie. I know it's
That's
a lie.
that's what I can juggle. I can juggle two games at a time, and
Exactly. And
I
as you
can't juggle
should,
three.
right? I'm not saying don't do that. I'm just saying you could do both.
I can't do all three though. That's the secret is I can't
Can
do
you
all
not
three.
put Helldivers 2 away for 1 week while you finish Behemoth and double
No,
on
because it
Pokemon?
just dropped the Illuminate. They keep taking the Illuminate away. I got to get in there while I can. Okay, no, Adam. You convinced me.
Yes. Oh, no. So what was it that convinced you? I'm shocked.
No, I think we've discussed. I think we've discussed as much as we need to discuss. The plot's not going to change, and I really don't care if you play the next Behemoth and you're like, oh, the game's actually really good. I was wrong. Like with Silent Hill 2, like I needed you to get to the end to know like what the magic is with Silent Hill 2, even though it didn't deliver. I feel like to me it was important for you to get to the end of that game and see what it's all about.
That delivered more than I think this will.
Exactly. Like
Right? Yeah.
the further we go in Behemoth, it's more Behemoth. I happen to really like it, and I want to see like a little bit more of that. But I don't think anything's going to happen that's going to dramatically change our take on the game and your opinion of the game. Maybe, I mean, I could tell you, on another episode, like, hey, I finished Behemoth. It was actually really good, and here's why you should probably play it. I don't think we have much more to deliver. Like, I'm going to finish Behemoth. I don't necessarily want to talk about Behemoth again on another podcast.
Interesting. And the good news, Alex, is I don't know how long Pokemon Crystal is. I mean, it's a Game Boy game. It was on Game Boy Color. So it can't be that long, right? And as the time we're recording,
You don't have to
it's
hype me up on Pokemon Crystal anymore, man.
no. I'm just saying. But as the time we're recording, it's right before Christmas. So I'm taking time off to be with family and stuff. I'm away from home. I'm not playing Pokemon Crystal then. I want to finish Moemon. So you have time to maybe finish Behemoth and then play Pokemon Crystal.
Yeah. I
But
think
you're
that's what's
right.
going to happen. Yeah.
We don't have to finish at a certain deadline to actually play it. Um, I mean, the pressure's on me now. I'm very curious to see how you will like Pokemon Crystal. I I mean, I'll admit that's nostalgia. Pokemon was like one of the very first games I ever played in my life. I love the concept of it. It's fun. It's not strategic. The plot's nothing special. Like it's just kind of like fun to play. But is that nostalgia talking, or is that like they actually have something? You're going to be the deciding factor. And note, folks, when someone picks a game that they've already played like this, my vote doesn't count. Alex
Oh,
fully
okay.
decides if we continue to play it on the next episode or not.
All right. Well,
Before
what
we
does
get
count, Adam, is the sales.
sales, let's do it. It's been a while.
This is a Play PSVR2 episode. One of the biggest sales we've had in a long time. So let's burn through these bad boys, Adam.
Merry Christmas, ho ho ho!
Adam, Rezel Player on PSVR2, that's like that sports game, is on sale 90% off. It's $1.69.
Oh, gotta love those last two digits. That's cheap. Is it multiplayer?
I don't know, but it's one of those games where there's like a football game, a basketball game, a boxing game, a ping pong game. And I bet one out of the assortment, will probably be worth $1 to play.
I'm going to say that potentially could be a good party game. You need something simple. You need something that doesn't have a whole lot of lore. They just throw in and do it. I'm going to say yes. That's so cheap. Do it. If it has multiplayer, I'll buy it tonight and we'll play it together, Alex.
I can't believe you. Okay. Horror Adventure, $1.99.
That is such a generic title. No, right off the bat. It's like meeting a woman named Peggy. You never go out with a woman named Peggy. The name says it all.
They tried to make a woman screaming on the art for the game, but they just took a normal asset and just stretched the asset. So it's just a mouth stretched.
On second thought, someone with that amount of balls, that's like Vertigo Home type bad. It has me tempted, but I still gonna have to say no.
Adam, you're very persuasive today. Oh, I'm tempted. $2. What? Maybe there's $2 worth of laughs in there. I don't know.
It could be.
Space Explorer for $1.99. This is like a NASA game.
Yeah,
Okay.
like too boring. No.
Thumper $4.99.
If you haven't played it, absolutely.
Operation Wolf Returns First Mission VR $8.99.
Save it for Project Wingman. I need one.
Mega Party $5.99.
I don't know what this is.
It sucks ass, is what? No, don't get it.
Okay.
Yeah. The crosshair in the game doesn't line up with where your bullets go. So it's like, what's the
That's hilarious.
D-Day Enhanced for $1.99.
Is this Honor and Duty? I wish.
I think it is. It's that game. Yeah.
It's Honor and Duty?
Yeah. That game we played on PSVR1 with the aim controller.
I mean, that was fun. We need to play that.
Yeah, $1.99.
Deal. And it's PSVR2? I did not know that.
They ported it, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the enhanced.
And because there's bots in there now, you don't need to wait for all those people. That's a buy, son. That's a buy.
The Murder of Sherlock Holmes for $3.99.
By the way, are you going to send me the games I'm saying buy? That way I can go buy them?
Yeah, I can send them to you.
Yeah.
I doubt there's going to be many more. These are all the cheap games. They're going to get more expensive as we go.
I hate you. If the thing is, more expensive game, you've got to earn that, right?
Yeah.
Anyhow, Sherlock Holmes. No. Now, if it were a Hardy Boys, giddy up.
Paint the Town Red VR, 7.99.
I mean, you really like this, right?
I think it's well worth it. Yeah.
I will say I watched an additional trailer because I almost pulled the trigger like 2 weeks ago and it wasn't even on sale. It looked more fun than even you laid it out to be. I'm actually pretty tempted. Um,
I bought it for $20 and I thought I got my money's worth.
yeah, $8. I mean, it's not going to get cheaper than that, folks. So,
Yeah,
I mean, if
that's
it
a
if
good
it
deal.
piques your interest, I say that's a buy. Yeah,
Rainbow Reactor Fusion, 5.99.
I don't even know what that is. No,
You're going. It's like a Metroidvania, but you're not fighting enemies. You're like walking around throwing balls and stuff. I had. It's iffy.
put
Oh,
the
Adam, this
balls in
next
my
one.
mouth. Put the balls in my
Put
mouth.
the ball goes in the hall. I won't do it. Darkness roller coaster. This is the game you were talking about last episode. The
Yeah.
weird roller coaster game. They have a roller coaster builder now. Build a roller coaster and ride it. It is $3.99.
Dude, it just, I know the builder is going to be so simple, right? Like,
$3.
does it, do I have to buy it again? I already have it on the PSVR.
Maybe
Problem.
not. But
Problem.
who cares? $4 upgrade. Who cares? It's
Dude,
$4.
I can't buy every game. I can't buy Paint the Town Red and VR Foosball and D-Day, and I can't buy everything. You've got to cut the line somewhere.
Can you cut the line at Gran Turismo 7 for 29.39?
If you don't have that game, yeah, buy it.
Yeah.
I
What about
mean,
VR?
buy it.
What about VR Pigeons for 224?
Like, if you have people that you can convince to play it, is a 100% buy. If you only play games yourself, it's not worth it for you to play it. So that's where I'll put the line.
Cave Digger 2 Dig Harder for 11.24.
Like it's a well-made game. It's just like not horribly fun. There's nothing novel about it. I'm gonna say no. Not that it's necessarily a bad price, but it's just like nothing about that is worth your time over another game, like
Yeah.
Alien Incursion or like some of the others that are coming out.
I'm interested in your response here. Stilt for 8.99.
No, I don't think so.
Really? Wow.
It's
How
like
about
not that great. And the only reason I even remotely had an okay time with you was because, well, you're like we're playing together, but when you're playing with random people, it's not fun. And although it's better than I thought it was, my bar was so low. It's like dating a Peggy and then dating a Nancy after that. Like Nancy's not impressive, but I was comparing her to Peggy, like
why do you keep naming all your mom's sisters?
I'm not.
Towers and Powers for 764.
Is that you saying I'm dating my mom's sisters, my aunts?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, is that it?
yeah.
Uh,
Towers
wait,
and Powers
what?
for seven. Towers and Powers 764. You have a
Oh,
code.
the long-awaited game I have not reviewed.
He's been reviewing it this whole time. Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't played it yet. So
Okay.
I pulled an
Seeker
Alex. Yeah.
Seeker My Shadow 1349.
Dude, like I like that game, but I mean, what is that? 30% off?
55% off. It's normally 30
Holy.
bucks.
Oh, wow. That's a highway robbery. I can't even say $12. If it's under 10 and you especially have someone else who would play it with you, like, a kid, a daughter, or someone, then yeah. But still $12. Come on. They know better. You should be ashamed.
How about Galaxy Kart for 8.99? Now with steering wheel support.
Um, It wasn't too bad of a game. Like, we need a game like that, but a better version. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm hesitant. I don't think this game is it. Like,
I feel like this type of game, like walkabout mini golf, is what you should be doing with that kind of time. Yeah.
yeah, like I played the trial, and after the 2 hours, I was like, I saw what this game is. I saw the best of this game. It was good for 2 hours, but I didn't want to play it anymore. So
Yeah.
play the trial. Don't buy the game.
Survivor Man VR The Descent for 674.
I would be impressed if you survived through that suckhole of a game. That game is cheats. Don't buy that.
Operation Serpens 674.
Once again, everyone wants to be my wingman, but there's only one project that can provide it, and it's not this.
Pixel Rip 1978, an Atari adventure for 12.49.
At this point, let's just be honest. I'm not going to play any of the Pixel Rip games. I know people like them. You played it, Alex. You tell me what.
It's the third in the Pixel Ripped. If you like Pixel Ripped, it's good, but if you don't care, then I can't convince you. The Wired VR bundle. This is Arcade Paradise VR, 10 Hearts VR, and The Last Worker for 14.99.
Well, the last worker's garbage. Um, 10 Hearts. I haven't played those other two. I'm gonna say, what's the total price again? Sorry.
14.99.
I mean, that's $5 a game. That's a good. I mean, that's good, right? You're not getting either one of those games individually for $5. But it's like, do you want to? No, I'm gonna say no. No, you're not.
All right. K1 Maths Dimension 3.99.
Why are these games? Stop putting shovelware on the catalog. Like, no, I don't even mean shovelware. I mean educational bull crap. We don't want that. What is there's a back in the day, there was a game console. I
Number
think it was for
Muncher.
what?
Oh no, I thought you were going to talk about Number Munchers.
No, there's a game console. I think it was for the PlayStation, and it was, or it was similar to PlayStation, and it was nothing but educational games.
Oh,
And
sounds
it
good.
horrible. No, it's horrible. Quit that. PlayStation should be ashamed that's even on there.
Adam,
Like,
we got to go faster. We're not even done with page one, and we got 3 pages.
holy, sorry. Let's go. Okay.
Vetrix Worlds for 7.49.
Oh, ah,
He's mad because he spent 15 bucks on it.
I hate you. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not a bad game. It's not a bad game. If you like Tetris, buy it. Yes.
He's mad because he's. Adam, Kazuna AI touched the beat. 17.49.
I'll have you touch something, but it's not the meat. No.
It's gonna be the meat. Adam, Kill It With Fire VR. 7.49.
No, the game looks stupid. No. No.
Drums Rock for 10.99.
Oh.
Which has the Undertale DLC? Megalomania is one of the songs.
Oh, yeah, but is that the only song?
No, there's another
Undertale?
Undertale song. Yeah.
Okay. I'm over it. I no. Oh gosh, I don't know. I'm gonna say no. If I'm hesitating, that's not good. Yeah, go.
Dark Sword Battle Eternity 10.99.
No, too expensive.
Synth Riders 14.99.
That I say that's a buy, but that's as expensive as you should pay.
There's a lot of songs you have to buy to like get good stuff too.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Barbie Dance and Dream level is out now for like $2.
Yeah.
All right.
No.
Legendary Tales for 32.99.
I hate you so much. I paid double that. I got double screwed. That game is a $12.99 game right there. 12.
No way.
Yeah, it's a $12.99 game because after about 4 hours, you're gonna be like, "Wow, I hate this."
For anyone on the fence, $30 is like 32.99. That's a great price if you're on the fence. It's right in the middle of me and Adam, and so you can
If you're Elon Musk and you could just literally burn money and not care about your time, about the money, sure, buy it.
Racket Fury Table Tennis VR 17.99.
No, because I'm buying the $2 one that already has table tennis and ping pong on it.
The Room VR Dark Matter 11.99.
No.
Cactus Cowboy Desert Warfare 5.99.
Game's garbage. Cactus Cowboy felt like slapping my wiener against a cactus. Horrible. Don't buy that.
That being said, I want to shout out the developer. He was found unconscious in his kitchen recently, and he's been hospitalized. Let me bring you down.
Why
Adam.
would you say that? Like, what benefit did you gain by saying that right now?
I want to say I'm pulling for him. I like the game. I think you should buy the game to help him out.
But you didn't. You could just said I liked it. Why do you have to bring his?
Because I got to make you feel worse. I got to make you feel
You're
worse.
trying to one up me by making my opinion feel smaller than yours.
Brain Beats for 5.79.
No.
All right. Talking about games where story matters, but gameplay doesn't as much. Journey to Foundation 15.99.
Talking about a game that matters so little, it's not worth your time, your investment, your money, journey, foundation of whatever it's called.
If you like Foundation, you should play it. It's good. Um,
Okay.
Super Death Game Show
Here is
570.
the thing, Alex. Behemoth is better than every game that we have played, and all these games you're like, it's good, but then you won't play Behemoth, and it's because the same thing I said. When you're actually in the crosshairs and you've got to decide what to play and not, you don't have the balls to stand by your own opinions. You got to do it for the people. Don't listen to this joker. I'm telling you the truth, brother. No, I'm not playing this stupid game either. Next.
What the bat for 9.99?
$5. I'll play that. $5.
Angry Birds Isle of Pigs 8.99.
This should have never gone past the PSVR1. It's not a worthy port. It's not a worthy game. Next. Play it on your phone.
Ghost Signal, a Stellaris game 8.99.
Not a bad price.
There's a demo.
If you've got time, I think that's worth the price. But if you don't,
Play the demo. If you like the demo, it's well worth that price. Demio for 17.99.
no.
Puzzling Places 8.99.
Oh, buy that. If you like puzzles, obviously, buy that. That's a good time as multiplayer.
Suicide Guy VR Deluxe 4.49.
No.
Right. A lot of repeats here. Okay. The Foglands for 11.74.
I mean, I personally didn't play this, but that's a good price. Isn't that 50% off?
Yeah, it was $25 at launch. People gave it a lot of crap, but they patched it, and I think it's better than. I'm not gonna say anything. Adam's gonna rail on me.
Yeah, I freaking will. Have you beat it?
Of course not.
Exactly. F you. I hate you.
Garden of the Sea 9.59.
Mind you, this is the man who Resident Evil 4 was supposedly one of his favorite games of all time. He hasn't even played the VR version. See, you like that game.
I loved it.
I didn't play it. I'm gonna let you pick.
Yeah, if you like Animal Crossing type games, it's like
Go figure.
yeah. Mixture 11.99. This is that diet moss game.
Yeah, no.
Tentacular for 12.49.
It's a good price. I just feel like, what does it do better than anything else?
Gives you tentacle arms.
Probably nothing, right? That's my big problem with it, but it's a good price. If you want to have tentacles, yes.
It's a good price. It is a good game. It just isn't the best at anything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's
Okay.
like playing Vacation Simulator.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Retropolis 2, Never Say Goodbye, 12.49.
No. I reviewed this. I said no then. I'm still saying no now.
Barbaria for 9.99.
Don't even know what this is, no.
Ragnarok, 12.49.
Nah, this doesn't look that fun.
Humanity, 14.99.
Yeah. The game you need. I'm going to start once the Humanity's going to be on the podcast because you need to freaking play. I hate you. Next.
Breachers, 14.99.
$14.99. Gosh.
It's like a good version of front what's it called? That aim controller game that we hate. Firewall. It's like a good version of Firewall.
Yeah. But we already have. I'm going to still pass.
Okay. I've passed two, and I want to play, but I've passed two. Man, they added sales since we started this, Adam. Doctor Who, Edge of Time, 6.49.
Who? No.
Vampire Masquerade Justice, 14.99.
There's a trial. Play the trial first.
Oh yeah, good call. Dead Hook, 9.99.
No. That game sucks.
Here's Adam's recommendation: Tennis on Court for 17.49.
I mean, I admit the original price is too high, but it's a fun game. I would pay that again. Yeah.
That's so wild. Hellsweeper VR, 14.99.
Go to hell.
All right.
No. That's a no.
Borderbots VR, 9.99.
Motorbots, dude. I would love to have one. We move. No.
Seventh Guest VR, 14.99.
Garbage game. No, please don't.
Dyschronia 1 or 2, 9.99.
I don't, but you like them.
Townsman VR, 19.99.
Yeah.
He can't get mad, but he spent $50.
Yeah, buy that game's very cool. Buy that game.
Switchback for $15.
No,
I might buy it for you just so you can agree with me. Cities VR Enhanced Edition, $14.99.
still gonna say no.
Propagation Paradise Hotel, $9.99.
No, it wasn't that good.
You didn't play it. You don't know. You haven't played it.
That one I played.
No, you haven't played this one. And people say it's good. It's like Resident Evil. It's so good. Transformers Beyond Reality, $12.49.
I'm gonna prove to you I did play it. Transformers, you liked it, but it's because once again, one of those half-hearted, yeah, I liked it. No, don't play this.
Stride Fates, $14.99.
No.
Fisherman's Tale 2, $9.99.
I would rather take a number 2 than play this second sequel.
They changed the name. It used to be called Another Fisherman's Tale. They officially changed it to A Fisherman's Tale 2.
That's stupid. I don't know why. Another Fisherman's Tale made a lot more sense. I liked it better. Double no.
Until You Fall, $12.49. God, there's so many. Go faster,
No,
Adam.
no.
Wizard Dark Times Brotherhood, $12.49.
No.
Big Shots, $9.99.
I got big shots. No.
Bocce VR Simulator, $4.94.
Maybe. Then no, I'm not playing up at bocce ball.
Creed Rise to Glory, $5.49.
Yeah, it's a good price. If you want to get beat up by little kids, buy that.
Oh no, that's DLC. The actual game's $27.49.
Never mind.
Chernobyl again, $16.49.
Garbage, not realistic.
Swordsman VR, $11.99.
No, sorry, can't do it.
Let me make sure these are games. Madison VR, $20.99.
Yeah, it's probably worth it.
Little Cities Bigger, $14.99.
Little cities, big problem. Little cities in Asia, China. No.
Never seen this before. Onirium, $20.99.
Never heard it. Don't know. Too expensive. No.
Among Us VR, $5.99.
No. I hate that game. Stupid.
Budget Cuts Ultimate, $17.99.
I'm gonna say no.
Arizona Sunshine 2, $23.99.
Definitely. Actually, no. Still no.
Pistol Whip, $17.99.
Yeah. Actually, isn't it free now?
Oh yeah, on PS Plus, yeah.
Yeah. Buy it on PS Plus.
I'm gonna skip over some of these. Sea Smash, $15.29.
Yes.
Synapse, $20.99.
I think it could be $50. I'm paying that.
Moss, $12.99.
No.
Ultra Wings 2, $12.99.
No.
Sushi Bin, $16.24.
Sushi, my butthole. No.
I bought it. Vertigo 2, $19.49.
Yeah.
Bulletstorm VR, $19.49.
No.
Man, it keeps going. Horizon Call of the Mountain, $39.59.
Wait, that should be a pack-in free game. No.
Into the Radius, $19.79. Yes.
KS.
Res Infinite, $19.79.
Absolutely, please.
Beat the Beats VR, $13.39.
Beat me. No.
Last Labyrinth, $20.99.
No.
Vendetta Forever from the people that made Synapse, $17.49. It's their new game.
Oh, Synapse, but not this game. No.
You don't even know it. It's Super Hot plus Synapse. Okay.
Dude, we've got 2 minutes, 40 seconds.
Red Matter Bundle, $27.99.
No.
Okay, and we're into the DLC land. Oh, thank God. Oh, Oregon Quarter, $17.49.
Oh, no.
All right, we're gonna just stop it there. Adam, any last words before I take us out?
No.
All right, that is it for this week's episode of Gaming is in Session, or this week's episode of Play PSVR2, the podcast. While we're crossing over in our podcast, why don't we cross on over to your auntie's ears? We see you feeling in your pockets, looking for change, trying to get that last-minute gift for your auntie. Well, here's a gift you can give her for free. Contact@playpsvr.com. Don't let her hear it's a gift. YouTube.com/GamingIsInSession. Play PSVR2, the podcast on iTunes. You just got stuffed, or you just stuffed our stocking full of content, and we're here to hear about it. So leave us a comment, send us an email, and blow us a kiss on YouTube, because that's our thoughts so far on Behemoth for the PSVR2. And if you don't like it,
tell it to the judges.
Whoa!